So today is the story of Marky Mark and Nelly Furtado. But it's probably not what you think. Years ago, we had a booming business that boomed too far, and the company we subcontracted for couldn't keep up with the cash flow to pay us, and it came crashing down. So we looked at a recession in Toronto, so we looked at the three booming industries, and the one that leapt out was home security. And we came up with a program of, why do people not have home security? And back then it was because it was too expensive. You'd have to pay whatever, $1,500 for home security, and that was that. And people inevitably installed it after they got burgled. So we came up with a program which is now used worldwide. The program is, you can have the system free, just pay us the monitoring for 4 years. And this was unusual in itself. But what happened when we did this? We boomed. We outperformed the two leading companies in the whole country out of one small office in Toronto, not really knowing what we were doing. And we found out about 3 months into this that the systems we were putting in were not really as good as we were told they were, and we were getting all kinds of false alarms. So we had to replace all the systems we wanted to grow. Now, after we'd just come out of a crash with a previous business, cash was limited. I mean, we weren't broke, but down to very low six figures. So when you try and grow a business and you're self-financing it, it doesn't make sense. It's not sustainable. So we went to a guy who had been in business with before, whose name was Mark. And we cut a deal with Mark, so he would underwrite the financing with his own cash, and we'd be able to do the free security systems. Now, this is really the story of Mark. If ever I've met a guy with ice water in his veins, it's this guy. But what Mark used to do in his office, he had a wine cabinet, he had a humidor, a cigar humidor on his desk, and he used to chain smoke Cuban cigars. But we'd all go in there and just grab a cigar off Mark, and I used to smoke maybe 3 cohibas a day. But Mark had this thing where you knew he was thinking, but you never knew what. So if Mark would tannoy someone, Tony, come in to see Mark in the office, I'd go in there, and Mark would be sat there, very often in his running shoes, old pair of jeans, feet up on the desk with a cigar. And he would go, "So, Tony, what do you think?" And that was it. And I wouldn't have a clue what this guy wanted me to answer. So I didn't know if I'd smoked one too many cigars or we were having a booming week. I never knew. And you just never knew with this guy. I always liked Mark. He's a great guy. But I remember going with him. A friend of mine works at Rolls-Royce Bentley in Toronto. And I remember going with him to see my friend George. And I said, "Look, Mark, I'll take you down there, but I don't care who you are. You're not smoking in my car." So he said, okay. So we drive down there, 20 minutes, whatever. Gets out. As soon as he gets out in the parking lot, Rolls-Royce Bentley lights up another Cuban. And these things will last half an hour or so. Walks into the dealership. 2 of us. There's about 6 cars out. It's a big wide open space. It's Rolls-Royces, Bentleys. Walks in. There's a total smoking ban, by the way, in buildings. Smoking a cigar. Some young sales guy comes out. Says, you can't smoke in here. It's a non-smoking building. You can't smoke, you can't smoke. It's a non-smoking building. And Mark just goes, yes, I'm fully aware. So what are you going to do if a guy smoking $100 cigars comes in your Rolls Royce dealership and he won't follow the smoking rules? You going to ask the guy to leave? To put his cigar out? No, you know what? Sometimes you just got to work with what it is. So Mark buys a Bentley Turbo, and that's the end of that. But I also remember when they brought the smoking ban in, Mark's own office always stunk of cigars. Good ones, always stunk of cigars. So one day we're in there, Mark's smoking cigars, feet on the desk. This guy from the, I don't know, some government jobs with comes in, tells Mark he can't smoke in the office, and it was a $50 fine. You know, so he's lecturing Mark. Mark's got his feet up on the desk. Can't smoke in here. There's a smoking ban being introduced. And it's a $50 fine. Mark just inhales. Puts his hand in his pocket, gives the guy a 50 and says, I know, I'm aware, but it's a $100 cigar, so I'm enjoying it. Gives the guy the 50 and says, feel free to come back every week, calm as you like. Ended up with Mark actually in the whole office building. Mark had done something to the ducts in his own office so he could smoke in there and the cigar smoke wouldn't go through the building. He managed to, who knows what he'd done. But that was Mark. And Mark built a business from zero. 2 years later, sold it for $752 million. So Mark's one of those kind of billionaire guys that I know. I've not seen him for a few years, but I am aware he either has the largest private jet in Canada or the largest private jet in North America. I really don't know. One or the other, definitely. But just a really cool, calm, laid-back guy that utilised that smoke, that inhalation as a thought process. He would never react to a situation. You could literally see cogs turning around in his head when he did that inhale thing. Sometimes we don't do that. Sometimes we're quick to react as opposed to being slow to respond. So think about that procedure. What's Nelly Furtado got to do with it? Well, she was just the girl on our reception. And I know you're going to think that's BS, but there's a whole bunch of people on this that have seen this that were actually working with us back then. So that's that. Just get Wednesday afternoons off for singing lessons, which I thought was a waste of time. Just showed you how smart I am. So there's your story, Marky Mark and Nelly Furtado. Have a wonderful day from the Upper East Side. Adios.